Thank you, Houston. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for today's ceremony, Dr. Kristy Clay. Dr. Clay attended Fostoria Community Schools for 13 years. She graduated from Fostoria High School in 1988. Kristy was ranked first in her class of 128 students and was recognized as the valedictorian of the class of 1988. After graduating from Fostoria High School, Kristy attended the University of Toledo and earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in biology in 1992. Kristy then completed her doctoral studies at The Ohio State University, earning a degree as a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine in 1996. Dr. Clay currently serves as a small animal veterinarian at Gahanna Animal Hospital, where she has worked for the past 16 years. Kristy is married to John Clay. John is also a 1988 graduate of Fostoria High School. John received his Bachelor of Science degree in Chemical Engineering from the University of Toledo and his Master of Science and PhD in Chemical Engineering from The Ohio State University. John also teaches at The Ohio State University. John and Kristy are proud parents of 10-year-old twins, Luke and Natalie, and 8-year-old daughter, Meredith. Kristy's father, Kobe Coburn, and father-in-law, Dee Clay, were both longtime educators in the Fostoria City School system, and both retired from the Fostoria City Schools. Kristy's brother, Dave, and brother-in-laws, Joel and Jamie, are also currently teaching in Northwest Ohio, and all are graduates of Fostoria City Schools. Please assist me in giving a warm hometown welcome to Dr. Kristy Coburn Clay.
Thanks, Mr. Grine. Oh, what am I going to say to you guys? Okay, I'll give it a whirl. Graduates, family and friends, teachers and administrators, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this special day. It is an honor to come back to Fostoria High School 24 years after I walked these same steps and received my diploma. First of all, let me say congratulations to the graduating class of 2012. This is a big day for all of you, and you deserve to bask in the limelight. It is also a momentous day for your parents. I have always told people that even though I struggled through some difficult college classes and have been in some pretty stressful situations in my veterinary practice, nothing, I mean nothing, is as hard as being a parent. It is truly the most challenging, yet most rewarding job you can have. Not only does it involve a lot of sacrifices and time and finances, it also means a lot of emotional sacrifices too. I think you graduates deserve to give your parents a round of applause for all their support and sacrifices through the years. So it is to both the graduates and their parents that I say well done. Over the last few weeks, I've been thinking about what I would want to say to you. What advice can I give you? What advice would I give my 18-year-old self if I had the chance? I hope to avoid lecturing you and throwing out a bunch of tired cliches like aim for the stars. I was eventually drawn to an article from the New York Times that I read on a lazy Sunday afternoon called The Character Test. This article contrasted an inner-city KIPP school program and an expensive New York private school in their attempts to cultivate certain character traits in their students. Working with researchers at the University of Pennsylvania, school administrators and teachers found that the students that persisted through college and down a career path were not necessarily the ones who had the best grades and test scores while in high school. They were the ones with exceptional character strengths. Starting with a list of 24 traits the researchers narrowed it down to 7 core attributes: social intelligence, self-control, gratitude, optimism, curiosity, zest, and grit. These traits seemed like a good springboard in my attempt to give you some advice, so here it goes. Social intelligence is defined as the ability to adapt to different social situations. To me, it means empathy. If you can put yourself in someone else's shoes, you will be on your way to becoming a good person, a good student, a good employee. Simple as that. Because of empathy, you will develop a sense of humility, fairness, and respect. You will be known as a good listener, and ultimately someone everyone enjoys being around. The second trait is self-control, both in work and in personal situations. Learning how to focus, being prepared, paying attention, avoiding procrastination are all examples of the development of self-control. Another example is delayed gratification. John, my husband, and I somewhat fondly remember the days of driving beat-up cars, eating ramen noodles, and living in a 600-square-foot apartment for 5 years while we were poor graduate students. At the same time, many of our high school classmates had gotten out of school and were starting new jobs, buying new cars, and having more spending money. It was hard to see them starting their careers while we were in the midst of what seemed like endless schooling. But because of our focus, we were able to accomplish our career goals and now have meaningful and financially stable jobs. The second part of self-control has to do with what I call the jerks are everywhere principle. When I was younger, I naively believed that the higher up the education or career ladder I progressed, the less likely I was to encounter people who were selfish, ignorant, and obnoxious. Alas, that is not the case. As John and I would frequently remind ourselves, the jerks are everywhere. Hence the need for self-control, remaining calm when criticized or provoked, being polite even when it is difficult to do. An attitude of gratitude is the next character trait. Many people lament the study of history, not realizing its importance. Having a perspective of the past helps you realize that the past created the present, and the present will shape the future. In understanding history, we are reminded to be grateful for those who came before us and in the opportunities we have had because of other sacrifices. Take time to show appreciation for what others have done to help you in your journey. One of my pet peeves when I was a senior in high school was the cynicism of older people. I always resented those people who said that the city, the country, or kids in general were going down the tubes, as if my generation was to blame. The past was ideal and the future was bleak. Don't waste your time complaining and being negative. It involves so much wasted energy. Focus on developing optimism. While it is okay to vent sometimes, no one wants to hang around a complainer. You need to believe that your efforts will improve the future. May you always have something to look forward to, no matter what your age. The next trait is curiosity, or the willingness to try to learn new things. This trait is easier said than done. The risk of making mistakes is something that can hold you back from finding your passions in life. You will find that you learn the most from your mistakes, so be willing to explore new things, even if it makes you nervous or uncomfortable. Be willing to ask questions and be open-minded, principled but not rigid in your thinking. A favorite bumper sticker of mine is one that says, "If you can't change your mind, are you sure you still have one?" Be open to new learning opportunities and adventures, as well as be able to listen to many points of view. Finally, we get to my two favorite traits, zest and grit. I feel like these two traits in particular can carry you a long way in life, no matter your background or abilities. The word zest brings to mind some of the words from an anonymous poem that Martin Luther King often quoted about doing one's best. If it falls your lot to sweep streets, sweep them like Michelangelo painted pictures, like Shakespeare wrote poetry, like Beethoven composed music. Zest means to have pride in your work, no matter what it is, by doing your best. People will sense that pride, and your work will feel meaningful. Finally, there's grit. That's a great word, isn't it? Grit involves trying very hard, even when experiencing failure. It means plodding on, even when you can't see the end of the road. It means making choices and making sacrifices. When I hear this word, I get a visual of a world-class athlete who, upon winning a monumental contest, begins crying. I know that those are tears of happiness, but also of relief, remembering those many moments of wanting to give up and thankfulness that he or she did not. There is a fine line between giving up because your goal isn't right for you anymore and giving up because achieving that goal has gotten hard and it's easier to stop. You always need to ask those tough questions when the road gets rough. So that is my take on the list. Have empathy for others, practice self-control even when it seems difficult to do. Appreciate those that came before you and the opportunities in front of you. Be hopeful and willing to try to do and learn new things. Bring as much zest and grit as you can to everything you do in life. I truly feel that cultivating these traits will lead you to a meaningful and fulfilling life, no matter where the road leads you next. I would like to conclude by sharing a story that illustrates my two favorite traits, zest and grit. It is about a golf course in India. Once the English had colonized the country and established their businesses, they yearned for recreation and decided to build a golf course in Calcutta. Golf in Calcutta presented a unique obstacle. Monkeys would drop out of the trees, scurry across the course, and seize the golf balls. The monkeys would play with the balls, tossing them here and there. At first, the golfers tried to control the monkeys. Their first strategy was to build high fences around the fairways and greens. This approach, which seemed initially to hold much promise, was abandoned when the golfers discovered that a fence is no challenge to a monkey. Next, the golfers tried luring the monkeys away from the course. But the monkeys found nothing as amusing as watching humans go wild whenever their little white balls were disturbed. Finally, the golfers gave in to reality and developed a rather novel course rule: play the ball where the monkey drops it. As you can imagine, playing this way could be maddening. A beautiful drive down the center of the fairway might be picked up by a monkey and then dropped in the rough. Or the opposite could happen. A hook or slice that had produced a miserable lie might be flung out onto the fairway. Whether the monkey improved your situation or made it worse, the same rule applied: play the ball where the monkey drops it. This seems like a good metaphor for life. There is no doubt you will face many challenges in the future, some of them unbearably tough. Persevere with as much grit as you can muster. But also know that some stuff will happen that is unbelievably wonderful too. Seize those opportunities with zest. Whatever happens, play the ball where the monkey drops it, with courage, grace, and hope, knowing you have the support and love of your family and friends today and every day. We are all proud of your accomplishments and know you will do great things and make the world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Clay, for taking your time to come and address the class of 2012 and your words of wisdom and encouragement for our students. At this time,